Hi, and Merry Quiltmas. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Allison. Now that December is here, we're in the Christmas spirit and are excited to spend the holidays with you.
We'll be joining you every Wednesday between now and Christmas, along with our sponsors Bernina, Northcott, Reliable, and The Warm Company to share holiday decor, great gift ideas,
A Christmas quilt-along, handmade ornaments, and cute ways to personalize your gifts.
So grab a cup of hot chocolate, snuggle under your favorite quilt for this merry celebration.
So Lindsay, we know a lot of people obviously travel for the holidays, us included, and we love bringing food to share with our families and relatives. So we have this cute casserole carrier that we're going to show you how to make next.
Take your favorite holiday dishes on the go with this stylish casserole carrier using cute baking-themed fabric. It has insulated batting to keep your dish hot and a handy pocket to keep your utensils. Get the cutting instructions for this project in the link in our description. We're going to begin by prepping our strap pieces for the casserole carrier. So I have my strap piece laid right side down on my ironing mat, and we're just going to fold it in half and iron it in place to make a little crease in the center. Then open it back up, and then we're going to fold both long edges to that center mark we just made, and then iron them down. Now we're going to fold it in half again and iron it to get the strap done, and you're going to repeat that with the second strap piece. Then we're going to sew along that open edge to complete it. We're going to top stitch an 1/8 inch away from the edge to finish the strap. We're using the Sugar and Spice collection from Northcott. We're using a white thread, but if you wanted it to match, you could use a red thread. We're going to make the pocket pieces next. So we're going to fold each pocket piece with right sides out, aligning the short edges, and then press along the fold. And repeat that with the larger pocket piece. So we folded it in half, and then we'll press along the fold. Next, we're going to layer our piece of fabric on top of the same size piece of insulated batting from Warm Company. We're going to put our fabric right side up, and then we're going to layer the pocket pieces we made with the raw edges to the outside on both sides. Your pocket pieces should overlap about 1 inch. Now we're going to baste in place. We're going to baste just along where those pockets overlap each other. And we're using the basting stitch on the Bernina, which spaces these stitches out a little farther apart, so if you can see them in the final project, they rip out easily. Now that we've basted along the pockets, we're going to layer another piece of fabric right side down, and then we're going to sew along both long edges to make a tube. Now we're going to turn it right side out to form a tube. Once it's turned right side out, you're just going to press those seams flat. We drew a line 2 1/4 inches from both short ends, the raw edges, and now we're going to top stitch to complete the pockets. Now we're going to start assembling the outside of the casserole carrier. So I've taken one of our outside pieces and we're going to attach the strap. So I've drawn a line 6 inches long and 3 3/8 inches from the edge, and we're going to align that strap piece on both sides and pin it in place. Now we're going to baste those short edges of the strap in place. We're using our basting stitch. Now we're going to top stitch on both sides of the strap, just 6 inches along the line we drew. I'm going to also back stitch to hold those straps in place. So you'll repeat this process to make the second half of the outside of the casserole carrier. Now we're going to align our two pieces with these strap sides together, and we're going to sew along this short edge, leaving a 6-inch opening in the center for turning. You will lay your large piece of insulated batting down, then your casserole carrier bottom, right side up, and then take the pocket piece we assembled earlier and center it in the center of this piece. You'll have excess that you'll just want to fold over. That's to accommodate for the height of your casserole dish. Then take your strap piece and align it right side down on top of all of that, and pull your straps through the center to help it lie flatter. Now we're just going to pin all the way around. We've taken our corner cutting pattern and we've laid it over the edge and we've traced around it on both ends. Now we're going to cut out along those traced lines and then repin as needed. All we have left to do is sew around the whole casserole carrier a 1/4 inch. We're using the Bernina dual feed to help us go through all the bulky layers, which you just pull down from the back. The Bernina dual feed works with the D feet. Now we just turn the casserole carrier right side out. We'll just slip stitch this opening closed and we're done. All that's left to do is stick your pan underneath the pocket. You can slip your utensils in this fold, pull the sides up, and you're ready to go. So you may have noticed that in our casserole carrier, we were using insulated batting, and we wanted to give you a little more information about it. So we used Insulating from the Warm Company for the inside of the casserole carrier, and it has a thin metallic layer in between, which helps reflect the heat and reflect the cold. So it's great to use inside casserole carriers or hot pads or even in your lunch boxes where you need to insulate and keep things warm and cool.
Yeah, and you know, like we said with the casserole carrier, if you live close by and you can make things at home, you can take it with you and your food will still be warm.
Yes, great product. So we wanted to give you a little more information about the Warm Company's other products. A lot of them are battings. Now we know all of you use battings in most of your projects, and there's some frequently asked questions we get that we'd like to address today. So we are going to specifically be talking about the Warm Company's Warm 100 batting, but for whatever batting you are using, just make sure to check the packaging or the company's website to get the most accurate information.
Yeah, so one of the big questions we get from readers and quilters is there a right and wrong side to your batting?
And the answer is no. But there is a scrim side to some battings. So on this one, it may be hard to see because it's white on white, but there is a smooth side, which is the scrim. And for those of you who don't know, scrim is like a really thin, non-woven material that some battings have, and then they punch the cotton through the scrim. It's just a way to hold the batting together without there being any glue in between. So the kind of smooth side is the scrim side, and that should be placed down towards your quilt backing. And then the other side, which is the more punch side, can face up.
When you have it in hand, you can kind of see a slight difference, but there's also a different texture to it as well.
Yes.
So another question people have is, should you pre-wash your batting?
This is a personal choice, so you are never required to pre-wash batting, and the Warm 100 does shrink about 3% in the wash, which is not a large amount, but I personally love kind of the crinkle your quilts get when you wash them, and that's the batting shrinking.
Yeah, it just adds a really nice texture to your quilt, but yeah, you want to make sure that you are aware of that before you use it.
Yeah, and if you are somebody that does like to pre-wash, or you're working on a project where any sort of shrinkage wouldn't work, You can pre-wash your batting, but you have to do it by hand. If you do it in the machine, it will distort the batting and kind of pull the fibers apart, so just be aware of that.
Okay, our next question is, do you need to iron your batting?
So, no, you do not. If it's coming in a package like this, we suggest taking it out of the packaging and laying it flat, and that just allows the air to get back into it and allows it, like, you can kind of smooth it out so that it returns to its original shape. If there is kind of a wrinkle in there that's not coming out, you can wash, or you can stick the piece of batting in the dryer with a damp washcloth for a few minutes, and that just gets the whole thing damp, and then you can lay it out again and smooth it out, and that should take care of any wrinkles.
And if you're tempted to iron, which is not usually advised, you want to make sure you know what your batting is made up of, because if it has any polyester, it's going to melt.
Yep, good tip.
So another big component, we want to know how close you can quilt to get, like, put your stitches together in your batting. So how far apart can you usually quilt?
Yes, so you should definitely reference the packaging. Every package of batting tells you how far apart your stitches can be. The Warm 100, because it has that scrim, that's not that glue, your stitches can be up to 10 inches apart. So if you're doing machine quilting or tying or hand quilting, they can be up to 10 inches apart, which is really great. But each batting varies, so you should just check the packaging.
Yeah, definitely. So I know we all have this problem. We use large bundles of batting, and then we have all these scraps left over. So how can we, make use of those scraps and put them together?
Yes, so joining batting is a question we get pretty often because everyone likes to save their scraps. They don't like to waste large pieces of batting, and there's two ways we're going to show you.
So we have this, if you just have a couple scraps here and you want to make a larger piece, you first want to make sure you have a straight edge on each of the pieces you're going to be putting together. That way you can sew them together easily.
So we're going to show you how to do that here. So we are on the Bernina machine, and we are using a multi-step zigzag stitch, and the reason we use a multi-step zigzag stitch is because it gives a little more stretch and give, so you won't get tunneling or like kind of a pushed together line where you're sewing your batting pieces together.
Yeah, and right now we're going to be using some black thread just so you guys can see the stitches, but when you're joining your own batting to use in a project, we recommend using like a neutral color or whatever matches with your batting, because you don't want those stitches to show through to the top or back side.
Yeah, so I have set this zigzag stitch to a little wider stitch because I want to make sure we're getting stitches on both sides of the batting as I'm joining them. And you can pin if you want, but I just like using my hands and going slow and just making sure that I'm centering those batting pieces right in between my presser foot. So that's one method.
Another method we have is rather than making straight edges on your batting pieces, you can take two pieces and kind of overlap them a bit and use your rotary cutter to just kind of make a little wavy line. And then you'll have curves that nest in nicely together. And this just helps so you don't have one long straight seam, because that can kind of cause a little weakness in your quilt overall.
Yeah, so if you're going to zigzag stitch, which is totally fine for your projects, we usually recommend that you do that for smaller projects or something you're not going to wash very often. If you are making a larger quilt that you're going to be quilting on the long arm where you are stretching the quilt tight, or you're going to be washing it frequently, we do recommend this kind of curve so that
it's a little more stable.
Yes, it's a little more stable, and then you can just put those together and with any stitch that you desire. So now we're going to show you how to make a cute handmade ornament.
This ornament is so cute. And you know, one of the great things you can think about when you're making small ornaments is the size of your prints. So this collection had a lot of cute fabrics, but it's nice to use smaller prints when you're working with smaller pieces. That way you can really showcase those motifs.
So now we're going to show you a fast gift idea, and we're going to show you how to make these really cute treat bags.
They're very easy. All you need is like a cellophane bag and a little piece of fabric.
Yeah. So we have just bought cellophane bags that come in all shapes and sizes, so you can find the one that fits the treat you're giving. And then we just cut a square of fabric. You just want to make sure that the square is the same width as your cellophane bag so it covers everything. And now we're just going to sew.
And you know, one thing, you know, cellophane is very slippery if you've ever worked with it. So sewing it isn't always the easiest, but one thing that can help is, because you don't really want to pin, because you don't want to put holes in your cellophane, you can use like binding clips to hold your fabric to your cellophane.
Yeah.
Another thing, you know, we have all these cute decorative stitches that we've been using to put our bags together. You just want to test your stitches before you actually make your bag, because some of the stitches might be kind of close together and end up perforating your bag, which you don't want to happen because you don't want all your treats to fall out.
Yeah, we've tried this with multiple stitches on this Bernina machine, and we have had no trouble with it perforating, but it's always good to test before you get going on them.
Yes. And you know, these are great little gifts, you know, if you want to have your kids take them to school, or, you know, give them to your neighbors, or put them, maybe they're stocking stuffers. They're just a great, easy gift. And a great way to showcase cute prints, too.
Absolutely, and just so fast to make. Like, I'm almost done with this one. And we're using a really cute snowflake design that the Bernina has. It has a lot of decorative stitches. Okay, let's show you here. So here, can you see these? Just so cute. And a great way to just show off your machine and any leftover scraps of fabric you have from your holiday projects.
Yeah, I kind of want to make these and hand them out to my family and coworkers.
Yeah, so cute. So now we're going to share block 2 of our holiday quilt along with you. Are you sewing along with our quilt along? We would love to see your photos, so post them in the comments if you are. We just wanted to share, if you love this star block and just wanted to make it separately, you can just finish it. We just quilted it and bound it, and we would like to say, like, if you want to skip the 4-patch design, the piecing in the middle, you could just do 1 square of fabric to frame a cute motif on your fabric, like a little Christmas design would be really adorable. So now we're going to share a cute way to personalize your presents.
So obviously a lot of people love wrapping presents and like to embellish a little bit, and fabric is a great way to do that. So whether you have a panel that you want to cut a cute motif out of, or if you have leftover selvage, we have a little bow here made out of the selvage, which is adorable.
So cute.
So, you can wrap it around your present, and this one is fun because it, has a larger print just with one big band around the package. And then we love this idea. This is the tree skirt that we made in the first episode, and used the selvage from this fabric line to tie it up a little bit. And, so if the recipient really loves this fabric, they can always get more because they know where it's from.
I love that idea. It's a great way to use some of those trimmings that you cut off when you're like squaring up your fabric so you don't waste anything. And these fabric lines are so adorable, so it's a great way to just add a personalized touch to your presents. So we will be back next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Time to share a wine carrier project and block 3 in our quilt along.
And we'll also have another ornament pattern and a fun use for your holiday sewing scraps.
We'll see you next week. Bye.